Welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Simon Bonenfant. I recently returned from the National Federation of the Blind 2023 convention in Houston, Texas. While I was there, I had the pleasure of welcoming back to the Blind Abilities studio Garrett Carder and Caroline Karbowski. They were on Blind Abilities a couple years ago to talk about their company C3D, and now they're back to tell the world about their new company, A-Cube Design. We talked about their developing product, the Enigma Reader. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy my chat with Caroline and Garrett from A-Cube Design. Hello everyone, this is Simon Bonenfant, and I am at the 2023 National Federation of the Blind National Convention in Houston, Texas. I've been doing a lot of great coverage from this convention, and I am very pleased to sit down today with Garrett Carder and Caroline Karbowski, both from A-Cube Design. Very nice to talk with you both. How are you folks doing?
Great. How are you doing today?
Doing great. And
it's
Caroline,
been super fun. Have had many great contacts this week.
Oh, terrific. Garrett, let's start with you. What is your title at A-Cube Design?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO and Chief Engineer here at A-Cube Design. I sort of have a split role here.
And Caroline?
I'm the Chief Community Officer, so I do a lot of connecting between the blindness community and A-Cube Design.
Great. Let's start with what is A-Cube Design for those who are not familiar.
So A-Cube Design is creating a Braille display, and there's several things which we sort of aim to achieve inside of this device. So the first being that the device is easily repairable. Hopefully the user will be able to do that, but if that goes a little bit above some people's head, the idea is that we can get it so that somebody can very easily repair this in days, maybe take it to a technician if that's needed, but that a lot of people will be able to do that and not a slim group of people, and there's a lot slower lead times. The other two things we really like to do is integrate a way for people to learn Braille within the device, as well as later on try to create good integrations with things like Google Drive and Outlook so that people can use this in a working setting for a number of different productivity reasons at their jobs.
Great. So why don't you talk about the product, what's the name, the configuration, that kind of thing?
Sure. Yeah, the product is one which we're sort of in the process of creating now. We've dubbed the product for now the Enigma Braille Reader, but we think it's going to end up changing. That name came from the first design we ever tried. It uses these rotating wheels of Braille. And so it was exciting. It reminded us a lot about the Enigma machine, and so we kind of got excitement about that and named it that, but we'll probably end up renaming the product. And yeah, in terms of development, we have been using piezo cells, if you all are familiar. I can dive in more to some of those kind of things if you'd like me to, but we're getting those sort of working in the near term, and then we're working on designing our own cell longer term so we can try to keep the price down of the device that we create. So yeah, does that answer your question pretty well?
Yeah, sure. So talk about how many cells will this device be, and is it have some standalone features?
Absolutely.
So we hope that it will be 20 cell, but
yes,
we can change it. We're also hoping with our cells, with being repairable, that users can pop in and pop out broken to new Braille cells. So that way if one's broken, you can just pop it, fix it yourself, compared to having to get a whole new display or ship it back. We could, in theory, make this be less or more cells. We just have to balance the costs and find out what do users really want right now.
And in terms of technical specs, the device will be running Linux as an operating system. We'll have several onboard features as well as external features, so it will be able to act as a peripheral device for your phone or your computer, but some of the functionalities, such as like the learning platform that we talked about that we want to build, or some of those custom integrations, will function on the device itself and have its own storage and all those types of things. So a little bit of both in terms of that.
Okay, so I'm assuming that it'll include a screen reader of some kind?
Yes, absolutely. So sort of where we're at right now is we're first sort of going for HID with computers, so trying to get it to connect into there to just use the standard OS built in, and then from there start working into those JAWS and NVDA drivers to ensure we sort of have the widest range of support in terms of that.
Great, absolutely. And I really like the idea of, as you said, this being able to be repaired simply and not as much of a hassle and not as much of a cost as well. I know that sometimes there's a lot of things that can happen with display, and you pay a lot of money to get it, and then something happens, and you got to pay more money to repair it, and From the user's perspective, that can be frustrating. Yeah.
And we've met several people who, not always for that reason, but are carrying multiple devices around, and with how difficult it can be to acquire these devices, sometimes it doesn't make sense to have people carrying multiple devices around for several different tasks, things like that. Yeah.
So what gave you the idea to start on this process? I'm assuming that this is relatively new process since you're still in the development stages, but what was the driving force behind starting this project?
Sure. So for that, we kind of have to go way back. So about 5 years ago, I was in my freshman year of college, and I met Caroline in a dining hall on campus where she was working for a company called C3D, which she created, where I joined her in creating 3D models for the blind. I believe there's another Blind Abilities episode on this for anybody out there who wants to check that out and learn more about them over there. And so from there, we had gone into an accelerator at the university several years later, fast forwarding Caroline and I working together at C3D, me becoming a part of that mission. And so we went into an accelerator with the idea of creating a 3D printer that was more accessible for people who are blind and more integrated into screen readers and things like that. We had sort of ran into some technical feasibility problems there. We were struggling to find something new that we could do and add value. And so we started just backing up and taking a look at what problems people were having in their daily lives, people who are blind are having in their daily lives. And that's when we started thinking about the Braille literacy crisis and sort of some of the low literacy numbers there, and what can we do to help people get Braille in their hands, and what can we do to help people start learning Braille. And so that's where we came up with the idea of building a learning platform into a Braille device. And then from there we started thinking about, what are some other problems people are facing, and that's where repairability, a lot of those other things started coming into the equation.
Very good. And Caroline, how did you come into the space of the blindness field? I know that Garrett talked about your other company, but what was the kind of driving force that started you in this field?
So when I was in 6th grade, I decided to teach myself Braille so I could read books in the car without getting car sick. And it spiraled into doing all these blindness things. I wanted to get Braille books, so I started going to blindness events, and I saw how Braille was being incorporated into 3D printed models, wanted to find some more applications for my Braille skills, so decided to start C3D at my high school to get our friends together to 3D print models, and then I could incorporate the Braille labels and Braille descriptions. So then going to college, I wanted to grow that program more. That's where I met Garrett. We teamed up to get funding from our college, the Ohio State University, and have been working together since. A lot, actually, at the Ohio State School for the Blind. We co-lead their 3D printing club. So from doing Braille, went into C3D. I then got my certification to be a Braille transcriber, and right now I'm in a orientation mobility certification program. So I'm also really into science accessibility, and Garrett and I have been working together, and I wanted to bring my Braille background and my connections within the blindness community to the team. So I lead the market validation side of the company, and we work on getting feedback from end users, people that know Braille, people that don't know Braille, people in the middle. We really want to hear from all people and incorporate that feedback now while we're still in the development, so we make something that's actually something people want, and we're hoping to do our beta test next year.
Great. Yeah, you make a good point about the feedback, and that really helps with the development process. What kind of things have people said that they want or don't want out of a device like this?
So a lot of people really talk about the cost, and how cost has been the main barrier. Even if their school or work or vocational rehab is able to pay for it, sometimes those organizations aren't able to afford these expensive devices. So they really want devices that are affordable. They want devices that they can do a variety of tasks with, especially reading books, note-taking, and connecting it with their phone or computer. And they really want devices that are repairable, so that way they're not without a device for too long. And They really are excited that we're incorporating their feedback now. And there's a lot of interest for people that want to learn Braille, which has been exciting.
Great. If folks wanted to give feedback, is there a way that they could do that? Is there a way that they can participate with some of the current initiatives that you have to get some of that feedback, or how does that process work? Yes.
So there's a few options. On our website, acubed.design, so acubed.design, we have both links for surveys people can fill out, as well as a contact us form. So the survey is helping us get information about people and what features they want and their experiences with Braille and education and employment. You can also email us at contact@acubed.design. And if you reach out there and want to do a longer, maybe 20-minute phone call with a member from our team to really give feedback that's really in detail, you can do that. You also can even let us know if you have a large group of blind people that you want us to meet with. We can get on a Zoom call with your large group. And you can also just email us any feedback you have, and we can see if we can incorporate that.
Great. Well, I think it's really amazing that you're so open to the feedback and really want to hear from the blindness community, because as we know at the NFB, that's what really can drive the innovation forward, is the blind people giving feedback about our own technology and our own ways of doing things. And we know best, so I'm glad that you're very open to that feedback and that process, as it really can help develop products. Keep that going. Well, is there anything else that either of you would like to say before we close?
I don't think so. I just want to say thank you for having us on here. We really appreciate it. And to everybody out there, if there's some kind of feedback you want to give us, something we can do better, something you can help us with, something we can help you with, definitely reach out to us. Caroline mentioned earlier, contact@acube.design. We also have some forms at our website. So Simon, thank you so much for having us on here. We really appreciate it and appreciate the chance to talk to you.
Thank you. And when can we expect this device? Do you have a timeline? I know you're still in development.
We're aiming to do a sort of small beta launch in about roughly a year. Being that we're a startup, some timelines can kind of change, so we try not to overpromise, but that's roughly about when you should expect to be hearing about a first iteration of the device.
Okay, great. Well, we'll be happy to have you back in the future talking about this or any other endeavors that you're working on. We're happy that you took the time to share this information with me and the listeners. And again, thank you for all the work that you're doing, and enjoy the rest of the convention.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having us on here.
Such a great time talking to Caroline and Garrett from ACube Design. If you would like to learn more about anything we mentioned today, don't hesitate to visit the show notes where you can find all the information you need. Thanks for listening and have a wonderful day.
For more podcasts with the blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities, and download the free Blind Abilities app from the App Store and Google Play Store. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities. And if you want to leave some feedback, give us some suggestions, give us a call at 612-367-6093. We'd love to hear from you. I want to thank you for listening, and until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see through
each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap
between the limited expectations and the reality
of blind abilities.